Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another Coffee and KO's Outside the Octagon interview presented by the MMA Stooges. And we are with Dakota Bush. Dakota, thank you for taking the time to come hang out with us, man.
Yeah, no problem. Pleasure's mine.
So one of the things that I have to ask, and the other guys that record with us typically got to ask, why did you not go by Dakota Harry Bush in your UFC debut? We were really hoping that we got to hear Bruce Buffer's lovely vocals scream that, and it didn't happen.
Well, actually, I put it down on all my paperwork. The whole week, like everyone on the UFC staff was calling me Harry all week. And, right when I got in the cage and right when I walked in, I was the first one to enter the cage. And Bruce came up to me and he said, "Hey, welcome to the UFC. Congratulations." And I was positive he was going to say it, and then I didn't hear it get called, so I was just as shocked as everyone else was.
Oh man, I gotta say that's kind of bullshit. Like they didn't even give you a heads up on that. What is the backstory behind that, just to kind of get some clarity on that?
So my grandpa and my uncle's names are Harold Bush, and growing up, everyone called him Harry Bush. And I'm third generation, so my uncle's friends and then my other uncle's buddies, all them, when I started coming up, everyone started calling me that a little bit, and I didn't like it at first. I hated it, and once I started fighting, it just kind of it rang, so I went with it, and I think it's one of the best in the game, and I can't believe they didn't say it.
Yeah, I feel like you have a bone to pick with Mr. Bruce Buffer. I think that's something that you're going to have to talk to him about. You probably don't have that much pull yet. Couple wins, and then we can maybe resurface that. But I was a little upset because, I think it's for sure one of the funnier names in the game, obviously. And it obviously has meaning. It's not like you're just some turd that was like, oh, I'm just going to say Harry Bush just because it's funny. You know what I mean? Like, at least there's meaning behind it.
Exactly. Yeah. And I would like to get a couple wins before I start making demands, because I don't think I'm in the position to do so right now.
Maybe Bruce just had to trim it. Maybe it was a little too long.
Yeah.
Also, I wanted to ask, so it seems like you're an avid outdoorsman. I actually have your Instagram page up right here on my other screen. Are you, so there's a big debate going on right now in the UFC. Who is the best fisherman? Obviously, we all know it's the whole Conor McGregor has been putting his name out there. Then you have Gregor Gillespie this past weekend, puts on a great performance. And then you come out, post a picture of you. Is that a shark? I think that's a shark.
Yeah.
It's a hammerhead.
So are you the best fisherman? Give us your pitch right now. Are you the best fisherman / outdoorsman in the UFC?
So I think, hands down, I'm the best turkey hunter in the UFC. I don't think there's a close second. As far as fishing wise, I think Gregor's definitely up there. Conor's definitely not a fisherman. There's no doubt about that. And Clay Guida.
He just drinks one.
Yeah, exactly. I think I think Clay Guida and Gregor Gillespie are probably, the top two up in the UFC as fishing wise. But as far as apex predator fishing, I'm definitely top of the food chain, catching sharks and, big fish is, I think I got everyone beat on that.
So that picture with the shark, you caught that shark?
Yeah, we caught it from the beach. Me and my father-in-law, every year we go to Florida, and he's got this big Advet reel. It's about this big, custom rod made by Barrett Rods. And we get bonito, which is like a little tuna, and hook it in, put the rod on free spool, throw it in the kayak. I kayak the bait out about 600 yards and then drop it off in the ocean and then kayak back and, wait for the magic to happen. My father-in-law says it's a extreme boredom interrupted by chaos because, you'll sit there for hours waiting for that rod. Then once it starts clicking and starts taking off, it's game time.
Is there like heavy drinking involved while you're waiting for that amount of time? And also, what is that adrenaline rush like? Like, I know when I go trout fishing, which we do often around here, it's like it is boring, but then the second you get someone on the line, you're like, holy shit, it's game time. And like you get like this weird adrenaline rush. But when it's a damn shark, what's that like?
Yeah, it's definitely something that's untouched by any other fishing. When I first went with him to Florida the first year, we went out in the bay and waist high water and it's crystal clear. And he's just catching fish, bait fish, bringing chum bags and chumming the water up around us. I'm like, all right, I guess it's kind of sketchy, but all right, I'll trust him. And next thing I know, we got sharks swimming all around us. And he's like,
my
oh, you're
God.
fine. You're fine. Ain't nothing to worry about. I'm like, all right. So, we got all these sharks swimming around us and, you'll catch a pinfish, a little bait fish and hook it to the back line. You'll toss it out once a shark comes in and we're just catching, 4-foot sharks that are swimming a foot away from us. And that's a little different than fishing on the ocean side, which is just running the bait out. But when you hook into a monster like that 10-foot hammerhead there, it's fun horsing it in. It's a workout. It's just getting your hands on that fish, once it's in and holding it, taking the hook out and holding onto the dorsal and the tail and swimming it until it can get its strength back to swim out. It's such an adrenaline rush.
Sorry, go ahead.
Did he bring you on the fishing trip with the sharks swimming around you like before you asked to marry his daughter and was like an initiation for him to like say yes?
Yeah, it was after the fact. So
okay.
I think we were good, but maybe he might have been trying to weed me out. That might have been the final test.
Okay, yeah, because I'm pretty sure I would have fucking failed that test. I would have been like, yeah, buddy, I like to fish. I'm out on sharks though. No chance I'm doing that.
What is more terrifying, being surrounded by sharks or being locked in the octagon with Francis Ngannou?
Oof.
Shit. It depends, I guess. Those type of sharks, smaller sharks, that ain't very scary. But yeah, being locked in the cage with him, that's a pretty scary thought. So if I had to choose, I would definitely go with the sharks.
All right. And you're an avid turkey hunter as well. Are you killing your own turkey for Thanksgiving? And are you guys eating that on Thanksgiving? And is there a distinct difference between the two?
Yeah, so I turkey hunt every spring. You can fall turkey hunt, but it's not the same. Like in the spring, they're gobbling, they're after all the hens, and it's just fun. You can call them in. It's just such a crazy experience to talk to a bird and bring it in and kill one. But in the fall, no, I never really turkey hunt in the fall, so I'm never really killing turkeys for Thanksgiving. But as soon as one hits the deck here in Missouri or what state I'm hunting in, it's usually gone within that week. I usually eat it all pretty dang quick.
And so you've obviously you hunt other things as well, but like you're very adamant on turkeys. Like why turkeys?
I can't explain it. I mean, it's something that you would just have to be in the woods and experience. It's just hearing the gobble. Like you could look it up on the internet and listen to one and be like, oh, that sounds pretty neat. But until you're actually sitting in the woods and you hear it close up and you can feel the vibrations in your chest and echoing through the woods, it's just amazing. And if I could make money turkey hunting full time, I would do that over fighting.
Would you basically how would you make money doing that? Would you like sell that to like supermarkets? Like what is like is there like a prize like turkey hunting, like a fair you can enter? Like is there like a contest?
No, the only way to make money, unfortunately, is probably, having your own YouTube channel and posting videos weekly, going to, multiple states and recording and having good footage. But, the takeoff for that would probably be very hard to have the funds to be able to hunt for 3 or 4 months out of the year and still be able to pay your bills until that your YouTube channel hopefully took off, you know.
So we're talking possible post-fight career endeavor right there.
Yeah, one of my biggest goal in life was to make it to the UFC, but the second one is definitely to pull off the Super Slam, which is killing a turkey in all 49 states that they habitat, except Alaska is the only state they don't have them. So that's my big goal now, is to be able to kill a turkey in every state.
Alaska don't have turkeys, which I guess that kind of makes sense. Hawaii has turkeys? See,
Yeah.
I wouldn't. I don't know if I would have guessed that either.
Yeah,
So
apparently Hawaii is super fun state to hunt them.
There's probably no restrictions. You can just do whatever you want.
Yeah, I'd imagine it's pretty free.
Maybe you can ask Max Holloway or someone from Hawaii. What maybe they know.
Yeah, I would definitely like to go down and train and turkey hunt, but he doesn't strike me much as a hunter. So
He's a skateboarder.
No, he's a video gamer. Yeah.
You got yourself a hunting dog?
No, I do not.
Oh, all right. That's a big thing around here. I feel like because like we live in a pretty redneck area. Like I feel like that's kind of like what they try to classify where I live. And I feel like every person that I know that hunts like got themselves like a hunting dog. It's like a big.
Yeah.
You got if you hunt, you have to have a hunting dog. It's
did duck hunt a lot around you, or?
Yeah, there's a lot of duck hunts, a lot of bird hunting, Canadian geese.
Yeah.
Pretty much anything that flies you can shoot.
We live up in the Poconos. I don't know if you ever heard of Poconos, Pennsylvania, but that's where Steve doesn't. He lives in Boston. I don't think they do too much hunting or outdoorsy stuff.
I mean, there's a ton of turkeys up here. Ton of turkeys.
All right. So you also have 2 children, right? 2 children.
Yep.
What's it like? So I love to ask this because I have two kids myself, but I am not a fighter. I'm a school teacher, so my days are definitely not as hectic. What's it like, training, being a fighter, doing all that as well with 2 young children? Is it difficult? Have you balanced it really well? What's that like?
Yeah, it's hectic. It's so hard to explain, to people. Like, get up at 4:30, go to work all day, get off about 3:00, head home. It's an hour commute, so I get home about 4:00. If I have time, I can pick the kids up and hang out with them a little bit, and then on the road again at 5:00 to head to training by 6, and then trained about 8:00, home at 9. So the weeks I hardly get to see my family at all. And on the weekends, I train, like when I'm in fight camp, I'll be training at least Saturday or Sunday. So the time spent with them is pretty few and far between when I get fights. And even now it's rough, but we got a pretty good routine and schedule going. So they're used to it. That's all they know. It's normal to them. So, that's why next week, Thursday, we leave for Florida to go fishing and vacation. So we'll get some good quality time in there.
And are you living close to where you're training? Is it not too far of like a commute for you? I know some of the guys we talk to, they drive like 3 hours out just to go train, but are you pretty close by to your gym?
Yeah. So usually in fight camps on like Tuesdays and Thursdays, we'll train, at the gym in Cuba, which is only like 25 minutes drive for me. And then on Monday and Wednesdays, I'll train in St. Charles, which is up by where I work. So it's usually only 15 to 20 minutes, depending on, what job site I'm on. And then Fridays is strength and conditioning in my hometown. So it's not too much commuting, for training wise.
Oh, so you're working another job outside of MMA?
Yeah.
Okay. What do you do outside of that?
Architectural sheet metal work. So a lot of copper work, copper gutters, roofs, metal roofs, pretty much anything involving metal that's, architectural wise.
Nice. That's one thing that I love about these shows is getting what other fighters are doing, because unless you're champ, I feel like look at Jeff Neal, established name in the UFC. My man's still waiting tables at Texas Roadhouse. Like It's just crazy.
It's no other sports like this. You reach the apex and you think like, man, my life's really gonna change, but it's not until you start stringing together some wins or making a name for yourself.
Yeah, I was gonna say. So at some point, like you think maybe down the road, like there is potential for you to go full-time MMA.
Yeah, me and my wife made a deal actually that after my first contract, if I sign another contract, that I was going to be able to quit my job and be able to train full time. So my next fight as well, I just plan on taking off a couple weeks here and there and doing some of my camp at James Krause's gym up at Glory in
Glory
Kansas
MMA.
City.
Let's go.
Hey, Glory is a big. We've interviewed almost everyone from Glory, and
Those
Grant
are our
Dawson
guys.
comes on our show regularly. Like Glory is a hell of a gym. It seems like they're on the right track to doing big things here coming up.
Oh yeah, there's no other gym, in my area definitely, but in the United States, they're really making the name and climbing the ranks. And I think here in the next 5 years, they're going to probably be the household gym in the U.S.
Yeah, I mean, you had James Gallagher, who's from Ireland,
Yeah.
came here just to train there. So that speaks volumes in itself. So you're going to Florida on Thursday, which congrats. It's still in the Poconos here. It's freaking still cold. Today was like 50 some degrees, which sucks. But what outside of fishing, what else are you guys doing when you go to Florida on vacation? What's your vacation like? When I go on vacation, it's stuff your face, go to the best places to eat, be lazy, go to the beach, some shit like that.
So this year, since we're going to the Keys, I'm going to do probably every day and all day long as my wife will let me get away with it. I'm just going to spearfish, dive in and spearfishing. That's all I want to do. I might throw a rod and reel occasionally, but spearfishing is going to take up like a good chunk of my time. And then going out to eat, drinking some beers, having some fun, and just relaxing, spend time with the kids, playing on the beach, and just having a good fun time. And the drive's going to be the worst part, I think. So for me, it's like a 20-hour drive. So that's the only thing I'm
flying.
dreading. Nah, there's too many of us to fly. So
I don't like
How
to
do you
fly
get to
either,
Key
so.
West? You got to drive and then what? Take a ferry over to Key West?
So they have like a bridge that goes through all the Keys, and it's just set on piers above the ocean. So it's pretty wild. I've heard. I've never been to the Keys before, so I'm excited.
Would you rather fly than drive? I know I would rather drive than fly. I hate flying.
No, I'd rather fly. I hate driving, man. Especially, I think weight cuts and driving long time distances has just ruined me for driving. So I definitely just want to fly everywhere now.
I feel like that's tough too if you're driving and you have kids as well. Like at least like before kids, you could at least like put on your playlist and kind of jam out. But now that you have kids, like you have to play like Baby Shark like nonstop. Like how does that work?
Yeah, so my 5-year-old, he'll be fine. He's used to the trip and he'll complain here and there, but he'll be fine. But the girl that just turned 1 in September, she's already a handful, and she's more like me than he is. So it's gonna be rough with her for 20 hours. So I'm hoping that she sleeps, a good chunk of it, but we'll see.
My daughter was just turned 1 in September as well, so that's pretty funny. And she is also a handful. Like I could not. we would periodically go to Indiana, which is about 11 hours for us. And then once my daughter was born, and I saw she was, I told my wife, "Hell no! Like she's got to be like 10 before we can go on any sort of car ride like this again because she's terrible." Like boys, I don't care what anyone says, boys are so much easier than girls. Like my son does not complain at all. My daughter screams her face off nonstop. You have the same experience, I take it.
Oh, it's exactly like that, man. I always heard that boys were going to be harder, but girls' attitude was worse, and that's definitely true. Her attitude is already
sassy
at a level that it shouldn't be.
At 1 year old too. That's crazy.
Yeah, my daughter's got the ultimate sass. Like it's cute. It's cute. It's tough because like it's really hard to say no to them too because they're so damn cute. But yeah, man. So I kind of want to get to your UFC debut. I was honestly, you took the fight on what, like a week notice, right? It was like a week's notice against Austin Hubbard, and Austin Hubbard is a guy that most people, I mean, his wins and losses in the UFC have been really up and down, but every time he fights, it's a hell of a fight. The dude is uber talented, and you took it on a week notice. You won round one. I was ultra impressed. Like, I think I know it's not ultimately the outcome you wanted, but you definitely proved that you belonged in the UFC with that performance against Austin Hubbard 1,000%. And the commentary team did you justice as well. I mean, they talked remarkable about you the entire time. It was a great fight, great performance. You didn't give up. Even you could tell you were dog tired, still getting up from takedowns. I mean, it was just, I thought for a loss, I thought it was a great performance, honestly.
Yeah, I couldn't be upset about it. Anything, that was my foot in the door to get, to where I've always wanted to be. So whenever they called, I was going to take the fight. Friday night, me and my wife and a couple of buddies went out to all you can eat sushi and had some ice cream, and I ate like 7 or 8 rolls, and woke up the next morning with like 12 missed calls and a handful of text messages from my manager. And I was like, oh shit, I know what this is. And opened it up, and he asked if I wanted to fight in the UFC next week. And I'm like, yeah, well, hell yeah. I don't care what I weigh. So I went and stepped on the scale, and I was 185.2. I'm like, oh shit. So I cut, 29 pounds, 29 point something pounds in 6 days. So that took a lot of energy out of my system. The whole week was just focused on cutting and making the weight. I wasn't going to show up and miss weight. There was no way in hell I was missing weight. And only thing was, I knew I just had to have a good recovery from the weight cut and just putting things in slowly, taking my time on drinking, eating. And, when we got to the apex to fight, I felt 100%, recovered from what I could, and no nerves whatsoever. I felt like I belonged there, and I had no pressure on me. I felt amazing. If I could, repeat that feeling, it's going to be tough to beat me on a full camp. My mindset was good. I was just going in there to put on a show and play the upset. I really thought I was better than him everywhere, and I still think I am. Just give me more than a week, and we can run it back.
So is that like, do you regret the short notice at all, or is that just kind of a no-brainer? Like, if the UFC calls you and that's kind of your first shot, like, you feel like you have to take it?
Yeah, there's no regret at all. Because what if I say no and I never get that call again? It's just,
Yeah.
I have to take it.
So there was no conversation with the UFC prior to that? You were coming off like a 2-fight win streak. You'd been in LFA for a while. Like, was there any conversation with the UFC before that?
Yeah, they actually talked to my manager like probably a couple weeks before that, and they were saying possible short notice fight. Just try to stay ready, and most likely be fighting Contender Series in August. So I was planning on Contender Series and staying where I can make weight, and it came quicker than I thought it would.
Yeah, and don't you think it's almost better that you got this opportunity than Contender Series too? Because like Contender Series, if you don't get a finish typically on there, you don't even get a contract. At least here, you lost, but you put on a great performance against a tough opponent. And now, I mean, and this is kind of what we see a lot of times. If you take a short notice fight, you're guaranteed at least one more. I think that the typical contract is a 4-fight contract, but that's rendered typically meaningless from what we've been told. But you typically at least get a second fight. And with that performance against a guy, like I said, that people love in Austin Hubbard, it was a great performance. I mean, you won round one. It was just, in my opinion, just fatigue. I think that if you didn't tire out a little bit, you win the fight. I mean, you had all the answers in round one. It just kind of didn't carry over to the other 2 and 3 just because of being tired. And again, you took the fight on 6 days notice. And now we know you cut almost 30 pounds in 6 days. So you weren't even really training. You were just trying to get the weight off.
Yeah, it was just miserable. That the last couple days miserable, but the goal in mind, what I had, I just was one track mind and was so just happy to be there and finally reach my goal to fight in the UFC. And yeah, like you said, they give you a 4-fight contract, but you could go 0-2 and get cut, but stepping up short notice and performing, usually you're definitely going to get another fight or two. And I really think I'm going to finish this contract out with 3 wins, and that's the goal at least. And start making some better money, get a nice contract, and just take it fight by fight. I don't really want to fight, top 15 guys right out the gate. I want to be matched up, where we can put on a great show. I'm a bonus fighter, I believe. I think I can get some bonuses, and I think I'm going to get, matched well with UFC to where I can do that. So I just want to take it slow, fight by fight, and, work my way up the ranks.
Are there any names kind of on the horizon that are being kind of tossed your way, or anyone that you see out there that you think would be kind of a good second kind of bounce back fight for you?
I really don't pay attention to much of the 55ers except for the big names I know. As far as other guys in the division, whoever they give me, and I know they're going to match me equally, so I really don't care who it is. I'm just going to be in shape and ready to roll and put on a good show. So,
are you a guy that watches UFC like outside of when you fight, or are you just kind of like you're just a fighter, and when you're outside of fighting, you don't want to talk about work? Because I know Max Holloway doesn't watch fights at all. Like he doesn't watch any fighting outside of when he's fighting, and that's it.
I would say out of all the cards in a calendar year, I probably watch about 80% of them. So I watch a good portion of it, and I keep up with like LFA and stuff like that as well.
Would you sorry.
No, go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say, like going into like your next fight, like would you rather fight someone who's kind of a little more inexperienced, or would you kind of welcome like a bigger name who's kind of on the way out? Like which fight would seem better for you, you think?
Yeah, I would love to fight someone like a journeyman who's been around the block, and they're maybe on a skid or they're 1-1 and back and forth. I would love to fight a name like that, like a Clay Guida. I'd love to fight Clay Guida, someone like that. I have nothing against the dude. He's an amazing guy, and he's like me. He's a blue collar worker. He fishes. He's got his own fishing charter and stuff. So it would be fun to share the cage with someone who's been around the block for years and just such a vet like him.
Then maybe you guys can share a beer after.
Oh yeah, go fishing, drink a couple beers, something.
Are you a like strictly Modelo guy since you're in the UFC now, or like what do you drink?
He has to say that.
Oh yeah,
he can't not.
My beer per choice is Stag. That's 100% what I drink.
I never even heard of it. Stag
sounds about right though for someone who's an outdoorsman.
Everyone dogs it. It's out of Milwaukee. It's in a gold can. It's got a stag head on it, and everyone dogs it. Everyone says it's nasty, but shit, I grew up on it and drinking it a little too young, probably.
Is it a light beer or is it a lager? What are we?
It's probably between the two, I'd say. A little.
If you had to compare it to like a modern
lager.
If you had to compare it to like a modern, like the piss beers, like Coors Light, Miller Lite, Bud Light, like what's the closest taste to it, you think? Or you don't even know because you never even had them.
Yeah. Now I would say it's more like you ever had like Milwaukee's Best?
Yes. Oh, that shit. College days, man. That's disgusting. My friend, it tastes. I feel
close to that.
When I drank Milwaukee's Best, I thought I was drinking concrete. It had like this concrete aftertaste to it. It was the most disgusting shit. My friend is like 30 years old and he still thinks he's in college sometimes. So when he comes over, he'll bring like Milwaukee's Best. And I'm like, I am not drinking that shit. That is disgusting. Oh man, I feel sorry for you. You got to drink Yingling. Yingling is the GOAT. It's best beer. I like Guinness too, but Yingling is a PA special, but it's starting to make its way. It's actually down in Florida now. So maybe you can get yourself a Yingling. Yeah. It's a lager. It's a good beer.
I'll keep an eye out for it for sure. In
definitely
Florida,
heavy though.
We always stop at this place in Cape San Blas where we usually stay. And they have a brewing company down there in Apalachicola. And they have this beer called Hooter Brown. And it's got like Tupelo honey in it. And it's like 9%. It's pretty heavy. But man, this shit's so good and sneaky.
Oh, that'll get you 9%. That's insane. I did have another question here. So this one, which screams "I'm a hunter" more? The fact that your first name is Dakota or the fact that your last name is Bush?
What screams what?
Like I'm a hunter more. Like Dakota, like North Dakota, South Dakota, I feel like you can like say that that's relevant to hunting, but also the fact that your last name is Bush. Like both of them just scream I'm a hunter. Which one screams it more?
I would probably Dakota, I'd say. Just because you had like, and the Dakotas, you had Indians and stuff, a lot of Indians up there. So I'd say that's probably more true to it.
I just saw a badass video of Justin James who rode a whale. He rode a whale. I don't know if you know who Justin James is. Have you ever done
Yeah.
anything badass like that? Like ride a whale? Like he literally saw this whale in the ocean. He stripped down to his underwear and then like got on its back.
I'd be down for it. That's for sure. I've never done that personally, but that picture of that hammerhead shark you seen me with, when we caught that and we were releasing it, my father-in-law held on to its dorsal fin and rode it out about probably 30 yards. So
Damn.
it was pretty sweet, and that had me wanting to do it. So next time we
Your
catch one, I'm
father-in-law-
definitely doing it.
Your father-in-law sounds like a badass individual.
Yeah, I mean, it's the proof's in the pudding, man. The stuff he does fishing wise with sharks, and then not many people know, but me and my training partner, Jake Collier, he's also in the UFC. Me and him are the only two guys that have been consistent. You know, we've had guys, amateurs that show up here and there, and we'll train for like 6 months at most. But for the past 8 years, it's just been me and Jake, and we train in like a 15 by 10 matted area, and my father-in-law's garage, and it's a pit, and it's hot as hell in there in the summers and cold as shit in the winters. And it's just me and Jake, and for him to take us from raw, from nothing, especially Jake's not athletic at all. He's not an athlete. And to put two guys, his only two guys he's had, and put them both in the UFC, it says something.
So
You
does
think
that mean
that
your
will kinda
wife
catch-
is? Oh, go ahead, Steve. Go ahead.
No, I was gonna say, do you think that will kind of catch fire later on? Do you see like more growth coming?
It's just so hard where we live. We're out in the country, so there's not much to pick from. Not many kids want to do it, and if they do, they don't have work ethic. This takes a lot of grinding and hustle and just staying at it.
Is your wife like a badass too? Like since your father-in-law like does all this training, is she like do any sort of jiu-jitsu or anything like that or no?
Nah, not at all. She thinks she is, but she's not.
How far, since you said you live in the country, how far is your closest gas station and grocery store?
Only probably 5 minutes. It ain't too
Oh,
far.
okay.
But
All
we're
right,
like
yeah,
I
that's not
said,
bad.
we're just barren between towns and population wise. Like I live in a town with 4,000 people.
Yeah, that's not a lot. So because I have family in Covington, Indiana, and there's one bank, there's one gas station, there's one grocery store, there's one Rite Aid or CVS, one of the two, one ice cream shop. There's one of everything, but that's it. Outside of that, you got to cross the bridge and get to the next town about 30 minutes away before you reach like real civilization. So you don't live
Yeah.
like that.
Now we're not that extreme, but I
Okay,
wouldn't mind
all right.
it.
Yeah, I agree. My wife is totally against it. She wants to live like in Philly, and hell no. But like for me, I want to live the furthest away from people that I possibly can. And so where you live was like COVID like a big thing? Because I've heard like when you live in small towns, like in the country, COVID wasn't even existent. Like I listened to a lot of other podcasts, and like it just wasn't even a thing. They just kind of acted like it didn't happen.
Yeah, it was pretty much like sparse here. There were cases of it, but the mask mandate wasn't too strong here, and people didn't really care about it too much. But where I worked in like St. Louis, it was super strict in St. Louis, so I kind of got to see both worlds of it. And my life didn't really change at all. I worked every day through it, didn't miss any time, and come home and train every day. So it's the perks of having a small gym. We didn't miss any time training.
Yeah. And so it wasn't affected, like it didn't affect your any fights prior to that either, like with it. So, well, LFA didn't that stop for a little bit?
Yeah, I was supposed to have a couple fights actually, and COVID kind of put us on the back burner until they started firing up shows again, and then I fought in October and January with him, so I was off, I think, a little over a year. So it sucked, but I got a lot better from it.
Yeah, I feel like from an MMA perspective, like the people who got hurt the most from COVID was definitely more like the regional circuits because they were just out of commission. I think even still in Massachusetts, I don't even think they're back into commission, but those who could train definitely kind of thrived in it.
Yeah, Missouri, we just started, I think, a couple months back. We just started having shows again, so hopefully it's back to a little bit of normalcy for us.
And when do you think we're going to see you back in the Octagon? And are you hoping that there's going to be fans, or you just don't care?
I'm hoping, late August, early September. I seen there's a August 21st and an August 28th card. I'd like to fight on either of those. And I pray to God there's fans. I hope it's a big full arena, and I'm just gonna eat it up. It's gonna be.
Did you watch 261 with the fans and how bonkers that was? That was the craziest. That might go down as the greatest card in UFC history. Like, it was just,
Oh man, yeah,
insane.
that was amazing. And usually the prelims, the crowd's a little vacant, but this time the prelims, the crowd was full capacity. It seemed like to me. So maybe people are just like, no, we've missed fights for so long. We want to watch them all. So I'm hoping it's still like that when I get to fight again. So I can't wait. It's gonna be awesome. And June 12th card, the Adesanya versus Vittori and Figueiredo and Moreno. Jake's fighting on that, so I'll be cornering him, and that's in Arizona. And I believe, I don't know why else they'd go there without having fans. So it'll be pretty sweet to.
I think all the pay-per-views are going to have fans now. Like the fight nights will probably still be at the Apex, but Arizona, Texas, Arizona, and Florida. So if you're on a pay-per-view, you'll have fans. That'll be sick. Before we let you go, I did want to ask one more question. This weekend, big pay-per-view in Texas. It's actually starting to get a little weak. We've lost Diaz now on this card. And Hermanson and Shabazian is off this card now. But I got to ask, who's winning between Oliveira and Chandler? Who do you got in that one?
Okay, so I've been rocking with Oliveira for about 5 years.
Yeah, we predicted him to be champ at the end of the year.
I've been saying it for a couple years now that he's the best and he will be the champ. But Chandler's a Missouri boy. He grew up down the road like 15 minutes from me, so it's hard to, I don't have anything against Chandler. I just think Oliveira is on the next level than everyone. He's a step ahead. It's definitely going to be a good fight, though. I don't know if he's going to be able to manhandle Chandler like he did Ferguson. So we'll see. It's a toss-up, but I'm rocking with Charles for sure.
I got just one two-part question, both random. But one, who's your dream fight? Two, what's the key to winning at Yahtzee?
Okay. So dream fight would probably be if I could fight anyone just for a payday, it would definitely be someone like Connor. Just because I know I'm going to get a paycheck. And two, I think I got his number. So
Notorious versus Bush. Yeah. It's got a ring to it. We could start promoting it for you.
I'm down. And for Yahtzee, I think it is the key to roll a huge score is you don't pick up anything like to try to roll your full house or your straights. You just, if say you roll 2 2s, you keep rolling everything until you try to get that 5s. So
you got to go for Yahtzee to win Yahtzee.
Every roll.
Every time?
That's how
wow.
That's how I've rolled, because when we were in Abu Dhabi for Fight Island, me and my father-in-law took Yahtzee with us, and we played probably 200 games of Yahtzee because we were quarantined for 3 days. So we were going through every possible scenario, different ways you could play, and the highest score I ever had was by just rolling, try to get a Yahtzee every single roll.
Wow. What was the score on that too? The highest score?
It was in the 600s.
That's ridiculous. That's freaking ridiculous.
I have to say, I admire your relationship with your father-in-law. Like, I feel like most married men do not have that kind of relationship with their in-laws. So I am jealous. And my last question, Ferguson, Dariush, who do you have?
I got Dariush.
Let's go.
I think Ferguson, I think he might be on his way out. I think people are starting to figure him out a little bit too. For so long, he was, untouchable and people didn't really crack the code. But now I think fighters are starting to pressure him and, stay in his face. And I think Dariush has one of the heaviest pressures in the game right now. And he's very underestimated by a lot of fighters. And I think he's a top 5 guy for sure.
Let's go. I love Dariush.
Yeah.
That's my dude. But his ground game is on another level too that a lot of people don't really realize until they look at the last fight against Diego.
Yeah.
He can roll.
What last thing. What's your take on Diego Sanchez, that whole situation?
Oh, we don't have enough time for that.
I gotta know.
So that's the one guy I wanted to fight. I got in the UFC so bad just because I think I put a clinic on Diego. But I don't know, man. I don't know what happened to him. He used to be scary dude. Like when he fought Gilbert Melendez in the UFC, even then, he was a scary guy to step in the cage with. And now it's like he reversed roles and he's soft and he's not in shape, it seems like, ever. And he's got that dork in his corner. I don't know, man. It's weird. It's strange to me. I don't know if he's been smoking peyote or what. He's just not there anymore.
And your take on Jake Paul. Do you think he's doing things? Because Eric Anders was all for it. Eric Anders said he would fuck Jake Paul up, but he also said that, Jake Paul's doing things the right way, making money. Who do you want to see Jake Paul fight to put an end to this madness?
Yeah, I think Jake Paul's, why wouldn't he? Shit, anyone in their right mind would do that and make the money he's making. You can't knock him for that. I just think where people want to draw the line, it's like, all right, we know what you're doing, but don't act like you're going to take out, the top guys in the UFC because it ain't going to happen. I hear Woodley, Woodley just got cut by the UFC, unfortunately. So maybe Woodley will step in there with him, and I think Woodley puts him to sleep. I think
we saw
any,
Mike,
guy.
There was a video of Mike Perry actually piecing up Jake Paul in sparring. So, Mike Perry's a beast. Don't get me wrong, but obviously we've seen what's happened to Mike Perry. Tyron Woodley is a beast, and if he just got to worry about boxing, I think he destroys Jake Paul.
Yeah, and I got a couple buddies that train down at American Top Team, like Luis Pena and Movsar Evloev. Luis was down there when Jake Paul came in to spar and stuff, and he's like, I was kind of asking about it, and he's like, he didn't really want to say too much, talk shit on him. But after some Jake Paul talking shit, Luis, voiced his opinion. But he was telling me, like, dude, he is not that good. So, I just don't see anyone that's even a striker somewhat in the UFC getting beat by him. Just there's so many years that we've put in versus what he's done.
So you're gonna fuck up Jake Paul. We should put your name in the hat. Fight Jake Paul. We'll get you a payday.
That'll change your life.
Yeah, it definitely would. But I just don't think it right now it'd sell pay-per-views. But if he would market it, well, shit, yeah, I'd do it. I would definitely.
Harry Bush destroys Jake Paul.
For sure. And I'd fight him on a day notice.
There we go.
There we
See,
go.
I would love Jake, and it'll never happen, but to see DC just manhandle him in the Octagon would be, I would pay $150 to watch that, even if because what I would hope is DC would ragdoll him, but drag out enough that the ref couldn't stop it and just destroy him for 5 rounds would be great.
Don't let him have an easy way out by knocking his ass out in 10 seconds. Make him get an ass whooping for 15 minutes or finish him with 30 seconds left.
Yes, that would be pretty sick. But Dakota, hey man, we really appreciate the time. It was a lot of fun. We'd love to have you back on in the future. It's, we always enjoy doing these interviews, and we don't really like to call them interviews. We just try to shoot the shit and have some fun. But enjoy your vacation to Florida. We hope you get a lot of fish on the spear or spear gun. Spear. I'm just straight up spear.
Spear gun. Yeah.
Okay. I hope you get a lot. Are you eating them, or I'm assuming you have to try.
Yeah.
You just gonna yeah.
Yeah,
all right.
Definitely eating them.
Awesome, man. Well, we appreciate it.
You guys. Yeah, I appreciate you guys having me on. It was a good time, and definitely we'll do it again for sure.
Awesome. Hey, man. Well, guys, go check out Dakota Bush at Dakota_Bush_155. Go follow him on there. Rising name in the UFC. Everyone, that's going to do it for the Coffee and KOs outside the Octagon presented by the MMA Stooges. Make sure you go check out Sheath Underwear, best underwear in the world. Got 2 pouches, one for your nuts, one for the other stuff. It's great. Chafing season is here. You don't want to chafe, so stop it. Go get yourself Sheath Underwear. Use promo code Coffee and KOs. Get 20% off. And we will see you all next time.